Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat.
We make these videos because we want to help everybody to have the best quality information about the ketogenic lifestyle that we can help you to have. And Patrick finds interesting articles, videos, comments that we feel the need to talk about because sometimes we're astray. Sometimes it's just really great information. So I'm not really sure, as usual, what we're talking about today. So why don't you...
But it's an article that caught my attention, and it's following like the previous video we did on plateaus. So basically, the title is "Set Food Items People Think Are Low in Carbs, but they actually aren't." So I thought maybe like you're on a plateau, but you're eating stuff you shouldn't be eating. So let's go with like some of those.
Okay, so there are foods that we think are low carb, but are not low carb.
That are not low carb. So let's put ourselves in more like a low carb like a situation, because they're definitely not keto, but even they could be even like that on the low carb diet.
125, 3 meals a day. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Well, the first one to me was like obvious, but maybe for a low carb dieter, I'll say, maybe it's not. Mango.
So mango, why would you not know that mango is?
Yeah. So mango, 165 grams of chopped mangoes have at least 28 grams of carbs. So
wait a second.
Definitely mangoes.
Wait a minute.
Not more than that.
How much? 165 grams?
165 grams of
is
chopped
28?
Mangoes, 28 grams.
Is that net or total?
Why they don't say.
Can I check that? Because that doesn't sound horrible at all. I was expecting worse. I was sincerely expecting worse. So here, for the same amount, it told me it would have been 24.7, and you said 28?
28, right.
So can I just say that I'm actually surprised it's that low? I mean, again, we're talking low carb. Yeah. So 28 grams on a fruit.
Still, it's like on a 125 grams. It's like about a quart, like a fifth or a quarter of your
It's a fifth of. I'm taking the big assumption if you have mango, like that's what you're having for the day, in terms of
carbs.
Of carbs, because. But I'm just gonna, just for the sake of it, just for the sake of like argument, because I'm that kind of person. 165 grams of apple with the skin gives 17.5 net, which would be about 20. It's
less. So apple is less.
An apple is a bit less, but I mean, it's not that far behind. Like that's why
you were expecting that.
That's why I was expecting it to be so much worse than an apple, right? That's what caught my attention. I was so sure it was gonna be that much worse. So that's not. Okay. I mean, it's bad, but it's not bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Are you still?
I mean, it's still a fruit, right? Yeah. But like, I'm actually.
Yeah. So okay. So like.
But I'm actually surprised somebody would still think that was not
low. Maybe they would think that like
just because it's a fruit,
high fiber or something. Yeah. But like it's not like.
But also maybe just because it's a fruit, they think, well, it's a fruit, so I'm allowed to have fruit, right? So it's low carb, right? I'm not having a chocolate bar, although how much sugar would be in a chocolate bar? But anyway,
still like word of warning about the fruits, like they contain fructose. They're like damageable.
They damage your liver,
your system.
They damage your liver and eventually your pancreas, and so it's like it's not a great thing to be eating the fructose. But again, compared to an apple, with the same amount, 165 grams of apple, you're getting like it's gonna probably be some like
17 grams.
Well, it's 17 net, but total it's 22.8.
Okay,
it's not that far behind.
So not that far from an apple.
So it's not that far ahead of an apple.
Okay, I would put the second one in the, but that again, like I was surprised to see that, like even for a low carb article, like dry fruit, raisins. So like that's
why is that a low carb fruit?
No, but people think it's a low carb, but it's actually not. So 28 grams.
Oh, because it's fruit. Yeah. Again, because it's fruit.
So that's an ounce of raisin that it contains 22 grams of carbs. So like an ounce of raisin
is 22 grams.
Put you above your keto number like off the bat. But for a low carb, like it's.
But I think I do think because it's a fruit.
Yeah. So but we already I think talked about dry fruit, like you should avoid at all.
Wait, can I just point something else out? Most people who are doing low carb are not weighing their foods. I feel that's the other thing that could. Like, I'm not really sure what the point of this article is, because if you're doing low carb, but you're not dieting, if you're just doing low carb to be healthy, then, like, you might be surprised if you start to gain weight.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right? But, like, I don't think, at least in my understanding, a lot of the most people who are doing low carb are not necessarily weighing their food.
No,
You
no,
might be
yeah.
tracking it, but if you're
Yeah.
tracking it, like you
Yeah.
might just put mango, you might just put apple, you might put how
Yeah, yeah.
much you had, right? Or you
Yeah.
might say it's a small apple when you didn't really weigh it to know that it
Yeah.
was a big apple, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. The other one,
Bananas?
the other example, I have a colleague. I think he's eating like three of those every day. Bananas. So one medium banana has 27 grams of carbs. So that's another like another fruit to be careful
So
with
far
if
we've got
you're
fruit, and more fruit.
Yeah, yeah. But like it's changing.
But I
Yeah,
but I just want to point something
yeah,
out though. Like we're always telling ourselves that fruit's so healthy,
yeah. And no, they're
but
not.
like it's full of sugar, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna eat a fruit, watermelon maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah, watermelon are good
Yeah,
berries.
berries, yeah.
Watermelon berries.
But like I mean,
Cantaloupe, I
it's
think.
honestly just don't eat
Yeah.
them. But okay, so here's the other thing I want to point out. It is so common to see people end their meal with fruit for dessert because it's healthier. So just keeping it in mind that if you end each meal with a fruit, like you just added from what our calculations were there,
Yeah, 6 times 3.
75 grams to your day. Low carb is 125.
Yeah.
So again,
You
you
know how
have to
many
be careful.
people like have a big fruit salad for breakfast, or like you have to be careful with that too. That's what like
Yeah, but that's what kind of the
especially
point,
like
right? It's like if you're trying to do low carb to be healthy, and then you're allowing yourself to eat fruit, and if you're eating more than one per day, like that's you just give yourself 25 per time you have a fruit, and you realize like you start to chop away at a lot of
yeah,
what like
because even a cup of fresh fruit's not a lot. Like you'll probably not feel very very satiated after a cup of
okay, that's a whole other story because you're going to feel hungry actually after eating those
yeah,
things, but that's a whole other story because
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not going there. This is low carb.
Okay, let's go like in the cereal realm
Okay.
now. Quinoa. Quinoa is thought to be like a super healthy like cereal. It's gluten free, high protein, but like 100 grams of cooked quinoa contains 21 grams of carbs. I'm
100
not sure 100
grams.
grams of cooked quinoa is how much.
It's not a
It's
lot. I
probably
mean,
a
it's
lot, a lot.
the same. It's about
But like
I would
yeah,
say probably about a cup maybe of
what they
cooked.
say like gluten-free, high protein, plant-based, sufficient amount of all 9 essential amino acids. And the next one, yeah, there's like that I did find interesting because it can have some space in our keto lifestyle.
Okay.
Yogurt. So basically, like what I did like with that, like 255 grams of flavored yogurt can have up to 47 grams of carb. So be
Yeah.
careful with like the fruits in the bottom and even the basic vanilla
Vanilla, yeah.
yogurt like has a ton of sugar.
Vanilla,
So
lemon.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of like ones where that you would think it would be
check the
lower,
labels
but it's not.
also.
Like
Yeah.
vanilla and lemon
So
both have a lot of sugar in them.
yeah. So two things I could say with like the yogurt, like high fat plain yogurt, like usually has around 5-6 grams of carbs.
Oh, that's not horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and some
But
for
you see, our people
175
are going
grams.
to
So.
eat the thing is, are people going to eat the plain? Because the plain doesn't
Oh, you
taste
get
good.
used. You get used to it. I do.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person that
No, I
wants to
know.
get used to something. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. So like the thing is, are people going to eat the plain?
Yeah,
Because I
and I
don't like
did.
plain yogurt. I find I mean I haven't tasted it in a long time though. So maybe my tastes have changed enough that I might like it. That's a possibility actually because there is sugar in it. So,
Yeah.
but like I just know that when I was eating yogurt, the plain yogurt was a possible hurl situation.
Yeah, for the high fat that I do get though, it's tasting very good. I did try some Greek yogurt, like that was 5%, I think, fat.
The only time I've ever had Greek
With
yogurt, there was what do you call that stuff? Honey to put on it.
okay,
So
yeah,
again,
yeah, no, yeah. No. So no. So the high fat is like to me tastes better than the Greek yogurt, but like check the labels. Like if you can find, like I said in previous video in Cape Cod, I did find a Greek yogurt that had I think 2 grams of carbs like per serving. But like yeah, you can find something that's better than any flavored yogurt, that's for sure. Next one, they're talking about beans. So
okay.
beans like yeah,
Well, I
especially in
mean,
some cultures like they're always seen as like
I'm
super
trying to think
healthy
like a
and
cup of beans. I'm gonna guess. I'm
so
gonna make a guess here that is somewhere in the 20s. But
so okay, so 160 to 200 grams of beans, let's say like a cup. I have no idea like how much would that be. Black beans 41,
Oh, it's more
So
than I
it's more
thought.
than, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
kidney beans 40. So it's more like in the
In the
40 to
40s.
mid,
Oh,
yeah,
I
in the
wasn't
40s.
expecting that. Okay, so you
Yeah.
see, even I would have been fooled by that.
So
I was expecting 20s. Just because it's a bean, it's a legume. Like I
yeah,
just kind
so
of,
beans on keto,
but like you
no.
know, like you do hear
Beans on low
people
carb,
talking about putting a little bit of beans and whatever
yeah,
in on keto. So wow, okay.
yeah.
Wow,
So
okay.
even on low carb, on the low carb diet, yeah, you
You have
have
to
to
be
be,
careful
yeah, you have to
because
be
again, you
careful.
have
Yeah.
125 to work
So
with, and that's 40 for but you know what? Would you? Oh yeah, sometimes people put beans as a side, right?
yeah,
Like so, like if you're actually eating them like as a side, then 40 carbs. Yeah,
it's can be, yeah,
but if that's the only thing you're having beside your
yeah,
meat,
and they're
it
filling,
might
like,
be
yeah.
okay, I guess. You see, this is one of those situations where we go back to what we always talk about: planning. It's like it wouldn't be the ideal story to go out, let's say for lunch and eat and then not know when you're ordering at lunchtime what supper is going to be. Because this is like, if you only got 125 grams to deal with in your day, like how do you make sure that you're not like putting yourself not to be able to have whatever was planned for supper, right? Like you might end up at the end of the day only being able to eat your meat. So, but I mean, that's not a bad solution. I'm just saying, like, plan for it if that's what you're going to do. Like, if you're out for lunch and you decide to eat something, you kind of have to know then, well, when I get home, I'm not. But again, do people who do low carb measure and monitor as much as people who do keto? Right? Because
Yeah.
the number is so much
So
smaller.
yeah, so we can
20
expect
versus
this to be
125.
like,
Like,
yeah,
I
two,
feel
two,
like
three
what
times.
this is teaching me right now, because I'm like shocked, like some of these numbers. And I think what it's teaching me right now is how easy it is to get to 125.
Get 25. Oh yeah, sure. Right.
Like, I mean, I know how easy it is to get to 20 because, right? But like how easy it is to get to 125 on things that
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily have thought were as bad as I thought. I
It's
really thought
like,
the beans
yeah,
were going to be in the 20s.
the healthy choices. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Next one. Oh, next one. Like I did find interesting because even in some comments we had, like online and articles, I always see like this is a good, like a choice, a preferred choice for keto people, and it's milk. I never understood why. I've read this in article where like, oh yeah, keto good choice like for a drink is milk. Like it's the worst like
I
thing
don't
you
think
can
it's a
have.
good choice for keto, but okay.
So 240 mils of milk contain like 12 to 13 grams of carbs. So
Yeah,
like a
that's why
cup
it's
of
not a
milk,
good.
like it's
That's why it's not a
not
good
at
choice for
all.
keto, but it's okay for low carb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for low carb, yeah.
yeah, it's okay for low carb, right?
And what about like chocolate milk for like those gym buffs that like to refuel on chocolate milk? No, we don't. We won't go into that.
How much sugar is the chocolate
Yeah,
adding, right? I mean, unless you're
totally.
just throwing some like really cacao powder in there or something, which most people are not going to do that.
No, yeah.
If you're using like real chocolate to make your chocolate, yeah, it's just going to put you over. But yeah, if you're, I mean, so far to be honest, I guess the point that they're making there is it has more sugar than you think, milk,
yeah.
because it does. It doesn't. You don't notice how sweet it is because you're used to it, but. Yeah. I think the other thing though, and it's one of those interesting ideas because it's a good option if they're saying for like people say it's a good option, but then you kind of the flip side of the coin is there better places to get your calcium? And there's so many better places. There's like so many
Cheese,
vegetables
yeah.
and cheese and like there's so many better places to get your calcium than drinking cow's milk, which is just, put it in context. Cow's milk is made to grow a cow, right? Women's breast milk is made to grow a person. Just like, of course, there's things in there that you probably shouldn't be drinking as an adult, right? It's just, I don't know, logic, but, adult cows drink water, right? Adult people don't drink breast milk from other women. Like, think about it. Like, we don't. So why are we drinking the milk from a cow? It's just one of those things where you kind of have to stop and go, question mark,
Yeah. So all that to add that you need to be careful with your food choices and do your research. Like some things that we always thought or like we hear that are healthy and low in sugar and low, like they yeah.
And can I
You have
also
to
just
be
point out, like,
careful.
you also need to be conscientious about why you're eating what you're eating. Like for those first fruits, the first, like, I don't know how many of them that were fruits, the question mark for me is why are you having it? Like if you're having that as a dessert, then have less. I mean, if that's what you're going to choose to have as a dessert, instead of having 130, what was it, 36 grams of mango, have like 50 grams, right? You just cut it like dramatically down the amount you're having, right? But if you're having it as a snack, which means that you are hungry, why wouldn't you just have a meal? Like, to me, that's always a big question mark.
To open your appetite for the next meal. That's the thing. Like, you have to do that.
You have to open your appetite for the next meal. Oh my God, that's what you're doing. You really are opening your appetite. So for me, the question is, why not have a meal? If you're hungry, have a meal. If you want a snack, it's because you're hungry, have a meal, right? So if you want to have a dessert, have it at the end of your meal. And at least you're not spiking your insulin in between. One of the things that I'm looking forward to, because as we've talked about more than once, is that we are teaching our children to be more conscious about their sugar choices. And so we're kind of leaning, at least I know I'm leaning towards the three of them being a bit more low carb than, because they're not going to do keto now. It's not necessary. They're healthy. They run around and they eat well, because most of the time they eat what we eat. So they eat well, but it's the chocolate bars, it's the other stuff, right?
The fruit juice, like there's some simple things we can do, like with our kids, like to not even bring them to closer to low carb, but just eliminating like some like sources of sugar, like I said, just juices like you.
So just for clarity, we have already limited the amount of juice, because in my house, for example, I don't buy juice. And in your house, it's rare that you have juice.
There's not anymore.
And so the only time that they actually get juice is at grandma's house. So my mom still buys juice, but that's okay. It's like it's once a week. It really is once a week that they have juice. I know my daughter takes water to school, and I believe both of your boys take water to school. Totally. So like they made that switch. And actually, to be in all fairness, they were drinking it before we knew about all this. Like, our kids just like water. Like, that's the truth. Although I used to buy juice. I stopped buying juice. That being said, we are teaching our children to be conscious of carbohydrates, because I do recognize that probably by the time they become young adults, they're going to want to like be more conscious of what they're eating. As we said, it's an additive thing, right? The more carbs you eat over time, the more you're damaging your body. So we know that it's an additive thing. This is why another thing that we don't buy anymore is fruits for the house, and all that stuff we don't do. They have apples once in a while. They have fruits once in a while. Again, grandma, right? Grandma still eats normally. So they get that opportunity to have those things when they go to grandma's. That's like once a week. Not gonna lie though, we still buy cookies and stuff. And they have them occasionally. It's not the go-to thing as it used to be. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because when you're trying to make change, and like I'm looking at these options that they gave us, like, oh, be careful, these things are high in carb. I think that if you teach yourself and you teach your children from young, these things are things that should be had in moderation. By the time our kids are going to be adults, I'm very confident that they're going to be making better choices going into their future. And that's what it's all about. Like, we can only make the best possible choice that we can make with the information that we have at the time. Right? So I like articles like this because I didn't think mango was going to be that number, and I didn't think the beans were going to be that number. So like I was really kind of a little bit surprised. I mean, of course, I know there's sugar in all I know there's sugar in all fruits. I just didn't think that it was going to be that. For 136 grams, I didn't think it was going to be that much. So, right? I really love making these videos for you guys, and I want to thank all my wellness warriors, as always, for coming by. If you are not already subscribed, subscribe, ring the bell, do the things, because we make videos every week. If you found the video actually helpful and would like to contribute to the production of some of these videos, you can go to my Patreon account, Patreon/Violet Rivera. You'll see what kind of perks there are, see what kind of contribution you might want to make. I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
See you next week.